What is up, guys? Welcome to Z's Biology. For those who don't know, I'm a medical student. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Alright then. Starting the topic, eyeball. Eyeball, which lodges in the sockets of the orbits. The orbits, the two facial bones, as you might be knowing. I'll try my best to take the most part of the eyeball, go through the physiology, the anatomy, or the basic structure of the eyeball. Right. Before going into further details of the eyeball, let's get started with the basic structures of the eyeball. First things first, the eyeball is made up of the three layers. The very basic structure I'm going to discuss with you guys, the three layers of the eyeball. That is the outermost layer, the middle layer of the eyeball, and the inner layer of the eyeball. So the three layers of the eyeball, the outermost layer of the eyeball, it is made of the sclera and the cornea. So the sclera, it is this one, this layer. From here, all this layer extended till this is the sclera, the outermost layer of the eyeball. It is protective in nature. It is opaque. The sclera, the outermost layer of the eyeball, it makes up to the posterior fifth-sixth of the eyeball. The posterior fifth-sixth of the eyeball. So you'll now ask me that what is the anterior part of the eyeball, what is the posterior part of the eyeball. So let's get into the detail of the anterior and posterior part. So this part from here, the posterior part of the lens, all this part consists of the posterior segment of the eye, and from here, if we talk about the anterior part of the lens till up to the cornea, this is our anterior segment of the eyeball. The anterior segment of the eye and the posterior segment of the eye and the anterior segment of the eye. So from if we talk about the anterior segment of the eye, this region is going to be known as the anterior segment of the eye. And if we talk about the posterior segment of the eye, from the posterior side of the lens till the optic disc, I will tell you further what is this, the optic disc. It will tell you that these are the segments of the eyeball. Do not confuse them into the chambers of the eyeball, because anterior chamber and the posterior chamber is different in eye, whereas anterior segment and posterior segment are the different in eye. So anterior chamber and posterior chamber, further I will tell you in the lecture. So coming back to the sclera, the outermost layer of the eye. So studying the outermost layer of the eye, or the outermost coat of the eye, or the outermost wall of the eye, it consists of the sclera, which is the posterior fifth-sixth part of the eye, and also we have cornea. So outermost layer of the eye consists of the sclera and cornea. Posterior fifth-sixth part of the eye is made up of the sclera, outermost layer. It is fibrous in nature, protective in nature, and sometimes the outermost layer is also called the fibrous layer. The cornea. This, as you can see, this anterior 1/6 part of the eye, it makes the cornea. The cornea, the part of the outermost layer of the eyeball. Cornea, it is transparent in nature. See, I have drawn it like this. So it is transparent in nature, and it's not like sclera. Sclera is opaque in nature. Sclera and cornea both form the outermost layer, also known as the fibrous layer. Sclera is opaque in nature, whereas cornea is transparent in nature. Moving on to the middle layer, or the middle coat of the eyeball. The middle coat of the eyeball, as you can see, is also made up of three parts, or we can say that middle layer of the eyeball is made up of the choroid layer and the ciliary body and the iris. The choroid, if you see in the diagram, further it is extended into a triangular section. This one, it is known as the ciliary body, this one, and further the middle layer of the eyeball extends into a diaphragm, muscular diaphragm, longitudinally or vertically. It is known as the iris of the middle layer. This part is the ciliary body of the middle layer. The ciliary body, it has also very important features. Further in the lecture I will tell you. Ciliary body, it possesses the ciliaris muscle. The ciliary processes are here, and those ciliary processes are very important because they actually produce the aqueous humor of the eyeball, which is really important fluid. And this is the choroid part of the eye, and same here, this is the choroid part of the eye, and the triangular section, it extends into the triangular part known as the ciliary body, and further it extends into the muscular diaphragm like structure called the iris. So this was the middle layer of the eye, known as which is made up of the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. These all three combined makes up the middle layer of the eyeball. It is also known as, yes, the middle layer is also known as uveal layer, uveal tract layer of the eyeball. And as I've already told you, the outermost layer, it is fibrous in nature and it is protective. And so in sclera, it is being opaque or white part of the eye, and cornea, it is transparent in nature. So the middle layer is also known as the uveal tract layer, and it consists of the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. And it is highly vascular in nature. Yes, middle layer is a highly vascular in nature, highly vascularized in nature. Nutritive layer of the the nutritive core of the eyeball. Nutritive core of the eyeball. Yes, it provides the nutrition to the layers of the eye. Further in details, I will tell you that how it provides nutrition through its choriocapillaries, through capillary plexus inside it. It provides nutrition throughout the eye. That is the middle layer of the eye. Coming the last but not least, the innermost layer of the eyeball. Innermost layer of the eyeball, it is very important. Retina. Yes, the innermost layer of the eyeball, retina. So actually, retina, this was the choroid. Middle layer, it was the choroid. The middle layer of the eyeball extends into the ciliary body, and then the iris. Also here, this was the choroid, which is extended further into the ciliary body, and then the iris. Coming back to the retina. Retina is very delicate layer, the innermost layer of the eyeball, very delicate layer, and retina is also known as this layer. I have made this one. This is the retina, sensory layer. Outermost layer is a protective layer, and then the middle layer is the nutritive coat of the eyeball. Retina, it is the sensory layer of the eyeball. It is sensory in nature and very important part of the eyeball. Actually, a very important layer, that is the retina. Actually, retina is composed of the two layers. If you talk about retina has the two layers. That number one is the pigment epithelium layer. If we talk about pigment epithelium, it is extended till iris. This pigment epithelium layer is extended till iris, whereas the second layer, that is the neuronal layer of the retina, neuronal layer of the retina, it is not extended till iris. So these are two retinal layers. So let me show you in the diagram. See the outer layer, if we draw it here, this is the pigment epithelium. This pigment epithelium further extended till the ciliary body and then till the iris. So this is the pigment epithelium layer of the retina till ciliary body and then further to the iris. But the neuronal layer of the retina. This is very important layer. Actually, it has the rods and cones. The rods and cones, the light sensitive area, which makes up the neuronal layer of the retina, the sensory layer. The rods and cones a very important part in the eye, because it actually the rods and cones help us to see objects or in our vision. So this purple part I'm drawing over here is extended only till here. This is the neuronal layer of the retina. It is just extended till here. So this was the retina. That retina, it has actually two layers, the pigment epithelium and the neuronal layer. The